Our next finalist, the Center for Early Childhood Development, a national resource providing training support and advice in the field of early childhood development, led by Professor Eric Atmore. The focus of their work is on improving the education and care of children from disadvantaged communities. Please welcome Prof. Atmore into the Inyathelo Donor Dragon's Den.
Good morning, everybody. This is called the Donor Dragon's Den. Believe you me, when you stand up here, you feel like Daniel in front of the lion's den. This project is premised on the saying, childhood is the most beautiful of all life seasons. And I'd like to repeat that again. Childhood is the most beautiful of all life seasons. Picture this. You visit the Cape Town Museum of Childhood. You enter a colourful, visually stimulating world of learning and fun, celebrating children and childhood. As you walk through, you enter innovative, interactive exhibits, exciting for children of all ages and also for adults. As you walk through the museum, you see exhibits which focus on children's rights, that celebrate the resilience of children, and which depict children's experiences through the ages. You see children's art all around, and you see exhibits on education, on Nelson Mandela and children, and our permanent display of over 1,000 children's toys through the ages. These toys date back to 1910. You learn about the rites of passage of children, what children go through, the Muslim child, the Jewish child, and you view collections reflecting the magic of childhood. In another room, there's a storyteller who will tell you, what was it like to be a child in District 6? What was it like to be a child in World War I, in Victorian times, and in Soweto in 1976? One room showcases the work of a children's organization, and this changes every 3 months. So, for example, the Parent Center could be focused on in the first 3-month period. There's a lending library dedicated to books and media on children and on childhood. There's an archive room, and there's a lecture room for public events. 10,000 adults and children will pass through these doors each year. As the Center for Early Childhood Development, we've established this Museum of Childhood, the first one in Africa. The only other two we could find are in London and in Edinburgh. And you're now getting the unveiling of the logo for the first time. The museum will make a contribution to education and heritage in our country and to enhance social cohesion, while at the same time inspiring our children and celebrating their achievements. We have purchased the building. It's between the Red Cross Children's Hospital and the Vista Nova Primary School. And we are currently renovating the building in order to get it ready to open up in March 2016. We are also building partnerships with local, national and global organizations to increase visibility. Entrance to the museum is free, and we have a children's outreach program, a school's outreach program, and pop-up exhibits in order to increase access. We have established partnerships with the ZICO, the South African Heritage Resources Agency, the African Arts Institute and others. We have operating cost funding for 2 years. We've secured that, and we're now seeking an investment of 900,000 Rand for renovations. The centre has been sustainable for 21 years, and we've had 21 clean audits. Many children's projects are framed by deprivation, disadvantage, vulnerability and deficit. We want to, with this program, we want to celebrate children, their resilience and their strength. Oliver Tambo said, a country that does not value its children does not deserve its future. What better way to celebrate our children than supporting the Cape Town Museum of Childhood? Thank you.
Well done, Professor. You perfectly timed pitch. Sure, it was just on time. Well done. And I hope you are feeling a little more relaxed and no longer like Daniel in the lion's den. It's the opportunity now for the donors to ask 3 quick questions, and if you could keep your answers short. Perhaps now we'll take our first question from table 3.
Hi, thank you for that. I guess my question is around museum culture in South Africa is not really, well, in a lot of places, is not great. So I think, what are the museum's plans to get to 10,000 kids a year and to make sure that the museum doesn't become a white elephant project?
Okay. Museums are traditionally stuffy places where you go to look at. You can't touch, you can't make a noise. In a museum of childhood, it's totally different. As I said, it's very interactive. Children will be encouraged to touch and engage with. But we also want to change the face of museums, because you did right. We want to take museums out of a building. The building will be a small part of the program. And that's why we've got school outreach programs and we've got pop-ups. Last night at the V&A Waterfront, we launched the first pop-up. We displayed 800 toys dating back to 1910. We had a footprint of 2,000 people last night. That's continuing throughout the school holidays, and the Waterfront tells us they will guarantee 12,000 people per day coming through the watershed, which is their new initiative. So we're going to turn the concept of museums right around to an active, fun place, and not looking at stuffed animals in the South African National Gallery in the gardens.
Thank you very much. Table 2, do you have a question for the Professor?
I'd like to, you've got the 900,000 as your budget you're looking at. Are there other ways that donors could get involved?
There are 3 costs. The cost of purchasing the building, we've done with our own reserves. So we've bought the building, it's fully paid, bond-free. We've got 2 years operating costs from the National Lottery, and what we're seeking is 900,000 Rand to get the building ship-shape. Now the building has been neglected, it's 100 years old, it had a non-profit in there which unfortunately would not have survived had we not bought the building. But I think we've got a really good product in the sense that I'm not averse to having Toys R Us or Lego or Nachi come in and sponsor a room or an exhibit or curating one of the exhibitions which we're going to have. So let's say, for example, we're doing a exhibit on children's rights. We could go to a children's rights organization to cover those costs. If the exhibit is on toys through the ages, there are a number of toy companies. So I think the business model, the project lends itself to a business model of exchanging services rather than grant funding.
Thank you very much.
Rather than solely grant funding.
Thank you. And a final quick question from table 1.
That's Eric.
Hello, Chris.
I must say, while reading your presentation, it's pretty impressive. It's clear, it's to the point, and it's personal and engaging. And I thought that was excellent. I was just wondering about your partners, but you have addressed that issue now. And I was also concerned about, you didn't mention anything about the maintenance and operation budgets, and you have covered that now as well. So the only other question I have is, how are you going to ensure donor sustainability of this issue?
Sorry, did you say donor sustainability?
No, the donors museums and the sustainability, seeing that you are not charging an entrance fee.
Okay. Let me explain why we are not charging an entrance fee. We want to make this accessible. And we've worked out the numbers. If we were to charge just 10 Rand per entry, on a footprint of 10,000, it will bring in 100,000 Rand. That's very small. We could sell the rights to a particular exhibit for 3-4 times that. So I'm quite happy to go to Lego and say to Lego, we will give you the rights to these 3 exhibits for a year at a cost of 300,000 Rand. So our business model is not one of seeking grant funding. That's not to say we won't, but that's not the primary business model. We also have reserves. We've got 2 years initial funding for the operating costs. At the end of those 2 years, we'll have a good idea what the operating costs or how accurate our projections are. But this is a long-term project, and one day I'm going to bring my great-great-great-grandchildren to come and see it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. A big round of applause for Professor Atmore.
We move on to the Center for Early Childhood Development and Professor Eric Atmore. Would you like to start, Sandra, since you have...
So just I think on this one, we all thought like it would be really exciting and it would be great to see, and I think showing the example of the pop-ups happening to suggest how you're igniting interest and passion for this was really fantastic. And just a specific one from mine, I think CECD has this great wealth of experience in history, and your presentation and your write-up kind of focused on the organization as opposed to the more of the work of the CECD. And I think for donors, especially those who are more focused on the ECD space, adding that kind of value of these are the tools and learnings that CECD were bringing into this museum will be a big draw for those who are not kind of traditionally into funding structures and museums and stuff like that. So I think it's a combination depending on the funder, but I think seeing more of CECD and how some of those learnings are being integrated would be great.
Thank you.
I think just from my side, I like the fact that there was a specific ask and that it was included within the presentation. This is a pitch, and as a pitch you should be asking for something and saying why you're looking for that. The only thing I would have said is it would have been nice to maybe have experienced some of the toys. So if you brought a toy or two or some kind of photograph of the waterfront experience. So you've had 2,000 people come through and experience it. What does that look like?
Yeah, I think we all thought this was very inspiring, but I think the slide on the house was a real downer. It's sometimes better not to even show something before, until it's renovated, until it looks, or at least a drawing or a 3D or an image, because you did a very good job of visualizing and bringing us along with you in terms of one room this, one room that. And I loved that, but then when I saw the house, I thought, God, I can't imagine how that's going to work. So that might just be me, but I think it would have been helpful to have maybe an architectural plan or something.
Yeah. Look, what I really liked about your presentation was that it was you. It was you speaking passionately about what's going to be happening, and so many presentations around the presentation where this was about you speaking to us about what it's going to be. And as is mentioned now, it was you made us see through your words what it was going to be all about. And it would have been great if there'd been some kind of visualization graphically as to what the place is going to be, because as you said, when you saw the little house on the prairie, it didn't quite match with our vision that we had.
Thank you, Patrick.
So everybody, your house was quite a topic of discussion. I said it looked like my grandmother's house in Vanguard Estate. So, there's nothing as frustrating when you're listening to a presentation as dishonesty, when you can pick up dishonesty. And when you don't quite know where it is going. And the essence of what I valued about the presentation is that you sometimes, when you listen to a presentation, you want the person to say, at the start, give me the cost. And that's what you did. You told us right at the start, you need 900,000 to do this. And that's very, very valuable. And so you sometimes get dragged along, and even in our case, 4 minutes seems a long time to arrive at the end for 10 seconds to tell me what you need. So throw the money out up front and say, I need R1 million and these are the reasons why. You give me the cost, you give me the context, you give me the cause, I've got it. And that was very useful.
Thank you.
As I'm sure you could be aware, I'm a big fan of CECD. But what I would have liked...
No bias there.
It's out there. But what I would have liked to have seen is... this one page write-up was brilliant, I thought. It's out there, it's in your face. But just to concur with what the other speakers have said, it would have been nice to have possibly a 3D, a computer, generate image of how the museum is going to look, to go with all the excitement, you know. And also what I like, and I think you should highlight it more, even though you did mention it, is how you're going to bring in the different eras of childhood. And especially in our fragmented society in South Africa, how your museum can play a role in bringing us all together. You know, I think that's all I can add.
I think I'm struck, this is my second one, I'm struck that, and this is what's really hard for us, is these are all really great projects, obviously, or you wouldn't have been shortlisted. And there's a lot goes into the document, obviously, that you present to us, but I think what helps make the decision is really the presentation. And similar to the last one, I think, the last winner, I think that what's really important for us is that if you believe in it, if you think it's a great project, that really comes over. And if you believe in it strongly, then we believe in it. It doesn't even matter sometimes what you've written down. There's a lot of instinctiveness about funding, I think, and it's a lot to do with the person who comes and speaks to you and says, you have to fund this because this is absolutely fantastic. And so it shouldn't really be that this is a dragon's den, and it shouldn't really feel no one should really feel that they're begging for money, because you really need to come forward and say, I have got the best product ever, the best project ever, and you're going to want to fund it. Because we really need good projects as well. So I'm really struck time and time again that it's the actual presenter, the passion, the belief that sells. Without further ado, the prize goes to the Children's Museum.
Wow, what a fabulous welcome. Well done. Eric, would you like to say anything?
Yes, I want to say, Lorenzo, thank you for that 1910 toy. He played with it in Sub A, and then he played with it with his 3 years in Sub B, and he gave it to us in 1910. On a serious note, this is 16 years in the making. We've been turned down, and this is another lesson, I think, that we've been turned down for this museum on a number of occasions. The Western Cape Education Department wasn't interested. The National Heritage Council wasn't interested. And we kept knocking away. But I do want to pay tribute and acknowledge one person in this audience who is making it happen. Michaela, won't you just stand up, please? Please stand up, right up, right up. Michaela's doing it all. And pretty face in front, she's the brains behind it. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Eric.